Hi, Andrew Reid from Dragon Australia here. I thought I'd take some time to explain a few differences between Dragon kettlebells and the most common type of kettlebell available in Australia. Dragon kettlebells are what's commonly referred to as standard or classic kettlebells. The main thing that sets them apart from the other type of kettlebell, which is the competition style kettlebell, is that as Dragon kettlebells get bigger in weight, they get bigger in size as well. So what I've got here, this is a 12 kilo Dragon kettlebell, and this is this is a 40 kilo Dragon kettlebell. Now what I've got here is, this is a 12 kilo kettlebell in competition style. So you can see there's a big difference in size between the two. Now the reason that this is one size versus these type is that in competition training, you are always looking for the kettlebell to be the same. If you think about Olympic weightlifting or powerlifting, the equipment they use is always the same. The bar is always the same length, it's the same thickness, the plates are always the same height, so that the bar always starts from the same position. That way the groove of the lift is always the same. Now in competition style kettlebell lifting, you always want the groove of the lift to be the same, because what you're trying to become is the most efficient kettlebell lifter you can. So when you're trying to learn a new lift, this is actually not a bad thing. The bells are always the same size. It allows you to use exactly the same technique from one weight to the next to the next. That does give you a drawback though. If I learn a technique here on a 12 kilo kettlebell, and then I jump up to the 40, obviously, it's going to take me a little while, but as I get to the 40, my technique will have to change slightly. Now it's going to have to change slightly for a couple of reasons. One is that the handles are going to get a little bit thicker, so it's going to improve my grip strength at the same time. But two is because the lift is going to be a little bit different. It's going to give me a bigger pool of motor skills. Now that may not sound like such a big thing, but if you think of everything we do in life, from writing to drinking a cup of tea to running, has got a different motor skill associated with it. And the way we create movement is that when you have a new task to do that you've never come across before, your brain goes back to its pool of motor skills and picks up everything else you've done that might be similar and creates a new skill from everything else you've done. So the more motor skills you have, the more athletic you can ultimately be. This is why you find people who have cross-trained a lot as junior athletes generally become fairly athletic as they're older. It's very rare that you find someone who's specialised in one sport go on to become a senior world champion. So this is great. Teaches you to the lift. All the kettlebells are the same size. Very easy to learn how to use. Very good for kettlebell sport lifting. Dragon kettlebells, slightly different motor skill for every single size. Slightly different motor pattern needed. Along the way, we're going to build more grip strength using one of these, because we've got a thicker handle, so it's going to force us to use that grip more. That may sound like not such an important thing, but if you think about everything we do in life that requires strength, from opening jars to using a sledgehammer on something, to a crowbar, to changing tyres, to whatever it happens to be, we need grip strength. Grip strength is actually the thing that connects us to the task that we're trying to accomplish. Now again, I'm not trying to become the best kettlebell lifter in the world. I don't care. I'm not going to compete in Giraboy sport. I don't really have any fancy to do that. What I want is that my strength training will benefit me for everything else I do. Now, all of this aside, the motor skills, the grip strength, the groove of the lift, all that aside, there's some other stuff as well about Dragon kettlebells. Now, we put these together with this thing called an E-coating on them. Now, an E-coating is it's a magnetised paint. It's exactly what they put on ship hulls. Now, if you think about what a ship hull has to go through for years and years, cruising around in the ocean, all the salt water, the barnacles, the whatever else they run into, and it still manages to keep the hull of the ship intact. And then you think about a kettlebell sitting in a PT studio or a garage or wherever it is you train, pretty safe bet that these are going to be looking good in a few years' time. Now, I've covered up the manufacturer of this bell so you can't see who's made it. What I will say is these bells are about the same age. Now, the bottom of this bell, it's chipped, it's starting to rust. Dragon kettlebell, not a scratch on it. Now, they're both 12s. If you look at this, when I attack this, you can see here, the paint's starting to come off, I can chip it. Whereas I get my Dragon kettlebell, there's nothing. Looks like it's still going to survive a nuclear winter. These things are tougher than cockroaches. They're designed with a 5-year guarantee. The new kettlebells that are coming, the military grade ones, the finishes of an even higher quality. So really, when you're thinking about purchasing kettlebells, you have to think about Do you want the kettlebell that's not going to give you any benefits in terms of motor skill and athleticism and just train you to lift a kettlebell? Do you want the kettlebell that's going to still look good in 5 years' time, increase your grip strength, give you more athleticism? Yeah, it's pretty easy, isn't it? Just get rid of that one. These are the ones you want to concentrate on. Andrew Reid, Dragon to Australia. I hope you enjoyed that.